sa laksyan, muhumok, ibahog sabaw sa linarang. Humukog ilong, tanalaag tas kulon, at tuon tadapit nga makasaysayon. Laptik sa dila, ugot siya sa ulo, dugan mo siguradong makumong-kumong. Hugot pa suot, hugot pa suot, hugot pa suot.
Bahalag saging, basta labing, bahalag buwan, basta tupad. Bahalag toyo, basta medyo, bahalag inamos, basta langgakot. Bahalag hilaw, basta ikaw, bahalag korne, basta perme. Bahalag lanay, basta tanday, bahalag dukot, basta lang hugot. Hugot pa suot, hugot pa suot, kasing-kasing kapuno sa kahimuon. Huot pa sugot, huot pa sugot, ikaw akong forever, wala'y magbuot. Hugot pa suot, hugot pa suot, bisag ipadpad man sa tumang kalimot. Huot pa sugot, huot pa sugot, sa dalan kulon kita mag-abot. Bahalag piit, basta sikit, bahalag magumos, basta lang timos. Bahalag muluong, basta muhaong, bahalag di makaya, basta kita.
Hindi ka biyaan, tuura jud na ako. Mura General Maxilong ni ikon mo plano, para ni mo makipatay ko pareho. Sa Cebuanong katipunerong si Alejo, maglisod ko kaon kung di tadungan. Ang imong istorya murag musika sa dunggan, bisag kinsa nga babae di ka ilisan, kaya nga akong gugma solid pa sa katipunan.
Hugot pa suot, hugot pa suot, kasing-kasing kapuno sa kahimuon. Huot pa sugot, huot pa sugot, ikaw akong forever, wala'y magbuot na. Hugot pa sugot, hugot pa suot, bisag ipadpad man sa tumang kalimot. Huot pa sugot, huot pa sugot, sa dalan kulon kita mag-abot. Sa dalan kulon kita mag-abot. Sa dalan kulon baya ang sabot.
In celebration of the 164th birthday of our hero, Dr. José Rizal, 𝗵𝗲𝗇𝗹 de Cebu Heritage Hotel, in partnership with the 𝗵𝗲𝗄𝗋 Foundation Incorporated, the 𝗵𝗲𝗄𝗋 Heritage Center, present to you this afternoon a special forum, an event, Rizalista, the cults of Rizal. Maayong hapon sa tanan. Daghang salamat to those who are with us on site this afternoon. We thank the teacher from Cebu Normal University and also the flag tour guides. Daghang salamat for joining us this afternoon. And we also thank those who are with us online already. Right now, daghang salamat to the supervisor of Araling Panlipunan and also the teachers of Taguig City and Pateros, DepEd Taguig City and Pateros. Daghang salamat for joining us once again, and also to from the University of San Carlos Museum, Daniel Nino Paclihan. Daghang salamat for joining us this afternoon. So we are celebrating, we celebrated last June 19, the 164th birthday of our hero, Dr. José Rizal. But so our question is, do we know, is he just a national hero, or is he something more? So we hope this afternoon, we are excited this afternoon to know some unique and interesting things about our hero, Dr. José Rizal. And of course, we would also take up maybe some questions about his being a hero. I have already in one of the posts of 𝗵𝗲𝗏 regarding this event, there was a comment that said, he did not, he did, was he a hero? So you would answer this later. Maybe our resource persons would answer this. There was a comment that said, was he a hero or is he a hero? He did not advocate for the freedom of the country. So, so actually, we initially talked about that yesterday, last night with the one of the highest ranking leader of the Knights of Rizal in Cebu City, and he will be one of our resource persons this afternoon. And I also remember, for example, in college, when in our history class or history 1 class, our it's a general education subject. So everyone would always would go through the general education subject. So it's very alarming that there is a proposal to do away with the GE subject. So which is very important. I remember that we used to have a debate in class. Who should be the national hero? Should it be Andres Bonifacio or José Rizal? So of course, we already know that Andres Bonifacio was inspired by Dr. José Rizal. Idol niya si Rizal, di ba? Their passwords were Rizal. So we would be talking more about that in a while. So daghang salamat to Catherine Nabua, a teacher, and also from a teacher from one of the schools here in Cebu. And also we thank from Texas, a veteran journalist, 𝗥𝗶𝘇𝗹, daghang salamat for joining us online right now. And daghang salamat to the Dapitan Historical Society's Mau Lapot, daghang salamat. So I was in Dapitan a few years ago. I think it's 2020 to have a discussion with the youth of Dapitan and also about the heritage advocacy among the youth. And I also went to the Museo ni Rizal sa Dapitan. I saw there the clinic of Dr. Rizal and also his house, his bed, and also the rock where he and Josephine Bracken would have a date. So the rock would be is facing the sea, and it is also where he would write his works. So daghang salamat to Ellen also from the Flag Tour Guides. So we give tribute to Dr. José Rizal, whose writings and organization, La Liga Filipina, awakened the national consciousness of the natives in our country. So we are also happy. I have been mentioning this in all of our celebrations of Dr. José Rizal. So we are happy to know that Dr. José Rizal actually came here to Cebu on August 2, 1896, when he passed by Cebu City and San Nicolas after his Dapitan exile on his way to his trial in Manila. So he arrived in Cebu in the morning. The boat, so from Dapitan and Dumaguete, Rizal's boat arrived in Cebu in the morning of August 2 of 1896. And that's how many years ago? Pila na na ka years? 1896. So we should the Knights of Rizal and all the Rizalista in Cebu should celebrate that in August of 1896. That's August 2, 1896. Rizal was here in Cebu City and San Nicolas. So Rizal wrote in his diary, and this is recorded. I am quoting actually Traizer Mansueto, also a professor in history in UP, University of the Philippines, Cebu, and he has been writing about Cebu history. And also a research by Ara 𝗥𝗜𝗭𝘅𝗧𝗪, a graduate also of Mass Comm in UP Cebu. And Rizal wrote, "The entrance to Cebu is beautiful. We can see the whole block, the whole district of San Nicolas, many brick roofs, church towers, and some small vessels. The ship anchored beside a pier near a garden of katuray." La, sige ko kadungog og drama nga katuray sa una. Sa gamay pa ko. Tiray katuray ba to? Tiray kadungog mo ang katuray? Unsa itsura ng katuray? So I heard it on the radio, but I have not seen what. So Rizal described a garden of katuray in Cebu. Dap-dap. The ship anchored beside a pier near a garden of katuray, dap-dap and almond trees. And nearby, they told me, were the government houses, that of Ventura, Veloso, and others. And Rizal also knew about the conflict between San Nicolas and the Spanish-led Ayuntamiento. So that was the time in the late 1890s, in the middle of 1890s, that there was already an Ayuntamiento replacing the native leaders in the towns and in the city. So he mentioned about at the house of Attorney Matios. So he went to the house of Attorney Matios, and where we looked for him, we talked about the San Nicolas town. It was said that San Nicolas had separated from Cebu and was not dependent on Cebu Municipal Council. So in the past, so murag ato ni i-correct si Rizal ani gamay. So ang San Nicolas was not a part since 1565. It was never a part of Cebu City. And during this time, so there was a move by the Spanish officials to annex San Nicolas to Cebu City, and that was the reason why the San Nicolasans rose up. So we would talk more about that. So nani gamay nga kuan si Rizal ani. So of course, as the Knights of Rizal KGCR told me last night, Rizal is not perfect. So napagid na some things that he did not know at that time about Cebu City. But we are happy that he came here and he described Cebu City as beautiful. So he mentioned since San Nicolas had separated from Cebu and was not dependent on the Cebu Municipal Council. Nearly a year after, so this is our continuation, that a year after that Rizal visited San Nicolas, the Cebu Katipunan chapter was formed in San Nicolas. And it was formed according to Gregorio Abellana. Gregorio Abellana wrote a book about ang kagubot sa Sugbo, panahon sa Makatsila, and he mentioned, so there are so many versions about the forming of the Katipunan in Cebu. But one version is from Don Gregorio Abellana, who said that on June 19, 1897, the first Katipunan chapter in Cebu was formed in San Nicolas. So June 19 is the birthday of Dr. José Rizal. So we don't know yet if they really timed it on the birthday of Dr. José Rizal or it was just a coincidence. We can no longer ask them because but so we don't know. So June 19, according to Don Gregorio Abellana, one of our rooms here, our room 504, Lawak Principalia, is named in honor of Don Gregorio Abellana. And Don Gregorio said that the first Katipunan chapter in Cebu was formed in San Nicolas, led by the Padilla clan. So sila mga Candido Padilla, mga Padilla, daghan na silang mga Padilla, and also with Teofisto Caban and Prisco Abreu. And Prisco Abreu later became one of the first martyrs of the Cebu Revolution, aside from Florencio Gonzalez. So after this forming of the Katipunan chapter in Cebu, recruitment of the Katipunan started without being detected by the Spaniards. So it was still secret, a secret society. Although we know that 1896, the revolution was already declared in, like, it's an open, it's really like in 1896 in Manila, in Luzon. So it broke out already, the 1896 Philippine Revolution, with the cry of, ang sa ganito, asa to dapit ang cry. Daghang pag nagdebate ana, is it in Balintawak or is it in Pugadlawin? And there are accounts also, The Light of Liberty by Jim Richardson. We have a copy here, but wala na ako badala. So he mentioned a meeting near Pugadlawin on August 26. So the Katipunan started, the Cebu Katipunan started its recruitment. And then and of course, we know that San Nicolas is very important in our history. It is in 1565, the Cebu port area was split into population centers. One was the Spanish settlement, Poblacion del Europeo, or the Ciudad, and then the native settlement, or the Poblacion de Naturales, is San Nicolas. So it is the place where the natives resided. Ciudad, which was Cebu City, is where the Europeans resided. But in 1856, the bulk of the population resided outside the ciudad. There were only 300 Spaniards and Spanish mestizos in Cebu. And San Nicolas was a peripheral area for the Cebuano labor pool. San Nicolas and Parian were the more heavily populated secondary districts. So there was another district that was formed for the Chinese mestizos, and that's the Parian district. So in the 1890s, San Nicolas was incorporated into Cebu City without consultation with its residents. So, and San Nicolas was reduced to an arrabal or suburban district of Cebu City, a situation that sparked bitter controversy in the urban area until the 20th century, and it lost its status as a municipality. So it became the birthplace of the revolutionary movement to overthrow the Spanish colonial rule. Humana akong today in history. Akong brief history koan kanang lesson. So daghang salamat to Ferdinand Azcárraga, the one who created my replica of pre-colonial Visayan Patanaw earrings. Daghang salamat for this, and also this is displayed also at our Sinugatan Gifts from Cebu. Si Marbs Bascon is is online and also here on site. We have the teachers from Taguig City and Pateros, Teacher Dali, daghang salamat. Joseph Sugilon from UBNHS, SDO Tapat. 𝗥𝗶𝘀𝗹 Wang from Tacloban City, daghang salamat for joining us this afternoon online. Frisiel Apad from Bagong Tanyag Elementary School, and also Mylene Liwag from Pateros National High School. And Marbs is saying, pari ni mo si Kuan. Classmate, classmate, come here, atay mo diri, attend mo. Next time na lang po. So, daghang salamat to everyone for joining us online and on site today. So now we also are happy to let you know that last week, and that's 7 days ago today, more than 80, we say cultural champions from more than 50 organizations, cultural, academic, and art organizations in Cebu gathered here to present, to give, to share their commitment to promote Cebu City heritage and culture, and also to give their commitment to preserve and protect, and also to promote our natural and cultural heritage. Maayong hapon sa tanan who just came in. So of course we are also happy to let you know that we have already compiled all the commitment of the organizations, and we have posted it on our Facebook page. And also the representative of Mayor-elect Nestor 𝗥𝗶𝘇𝗹, Councilor-elect 𝗫𝗫 also promised us that she would bring everything to Mayor-elect 𝗥𝗶𝘶. So, of course, we are also happy to also let you know once again, although we have mentioned this many times already, that 𝗵𝗲𝗃 in 2024, 𝗵𝗲𝗃 the Cebu Heritage Hotel was awarded as an outstanding institution of Cebu City during the Cebu City Charter Day celebration in 2024 for in sincere appreciation of his unwavering commitment into preserving and promoting Cebu's cultural legacy through engaging exhibitions, book launches, and diverse events, cultivating a profound appreciation and understanding of Cebuano history among the youth and local communities. So daghang salamat for this award. And also, Agripina, the leader of the 𝗵𝗲𝗃 Heritage Awareness Programs, has been awarded this year, 2025, as an outstanding individual for her innovative advocacy for Cebuano history and arts through the hotel industry. And daghang salamat for this award. So, now, kuan na gyud, mag-introduce sa gyud ta sa ato resource persons in a few minutes. So, we would like to invite you. We would first let you know about our upcoming events. So, on June 28th will be a romantic afternoon as we celebrate Ting-Ulan, celebrate the many phases of the rain. So it's Ting-Ulan sa balak, balak sa Ting-Ulan. The rain would balak sa Ting-Ulan is poems on the rain. Nasa another suggestion for the title of this, Ting Balak sa Ulan. So it's the time when the rain would create poetry during the rainy season. So, ang ulan mo balaksad. So, dayon, so you are invited, everyone, to come and share your poems, read your poems on this day. And we are also happy that Sunstar Daily has has partnered with us and would start cross-posting our hybrid heritage events starting on June 28 during this day on, so duwa pa karon on next Saturday. So Sunstar Daily would be cross-posting our heritage events on their page. And on July 26 would be a celebration because the birthday of General Leon Quilat is on July 27 in celebration of Leon Quilat at 152. The theme, there will be a Central Visayas hybrid speech contest with the theme, History is not a hashtag, and why the youth should know about Leon Quilat. And one of our judges, we're happy to let you know that we will have as our resource person also in this event to discuss about why history, local history, and local heroes should be studied in school, or it should be in the school curriculum in grade school, would be our history professor from University of San Carlos, Dr. George Emmanuel Borinaga. He also already said yes to this. So stay tuned for this. So now, we still have, gamay na lang yun, akong intro. So we still have our Rooms for Heroes to celebrate our fathers. Happy Father's Day to all fathers and who stand as fathers to their children. And also, we have our Imo na Pudtay lunch and dinner set also for the fathers. And also, tonight is the Saturday Fiesta Dinner Buffet. And also, we celebrate also that Pride Month. We honor and we respect the rights and of the LGBTQIA+. We have discussed this first week of June, and we had Wendy at that time to share with us about her journey as the first to undergo gender reassignment surgery in Cebu. So you get a rainbow cupcake if you answer at the comment section of our Facebook Live event, akong girespeto ang LGBTQ+ class tungod kay. So, tuan na dito sa June 1 nga post sa Palmgrass. So, mao na gid na. Ay, mao na to. So, now we would like to introduce now our resource persons, our panelists this afternoon. So, so before that, napay nag-greet 𝗷𝗂𝘀𝘀𝗵𝗂 also from Taguig City, daghang salamat, and from Drea, also happy 164th birthday to our national hero, José Rizal. So daghang salamat everyone. So one of our panelists this afternoon is a graduate of Bachelor of Science, BSc in History at the University of San Carlos. She got her Master's in History also at the University of San Carlos. She got her graduate certificate in Cebuano Heritage Studies at the University of San Carlos. And she got her PhD in History at the University of Santo Tomas. And her research interests include church history, Cebuano heritage and culture, broader Philippine history, and historical research methodologies. And she has been recognized for her contributions to Cebuano cultural and heritage studies, and she is active in regional academic circles, participating in scholarly associations such as Philippine Association for the Study of Culture, History, and Religion. And she is an assistant professor of history and a former chair of the Department of Anthropology, Sociology, and History of the University of San Carlos. Everyone, it's my pleasure and honor to introduce to you one of our resource persons this afternoon, Professor Laila Labajo.
Good afternoon, everyone. Luzon, Visayas, Mindanao.
So, daghang salamat to Professor Laila for being with us on site today. So, is our video okay sa kang Professor Laila nga side? Adjust nila to? Yes. Are we okay online sa atomong among visual? Yes. Okay ra? So daghang salamat to Professor Laila. Maybe we are going to adjust nato ang camera of Professor Laila. Next, we would like to introduce to you our another panelist this afternoon. Michael, so our second panelist, our second resource person is for the former Vice President, Michael. Yes. So our our second another panelist this afternoon is the former Vice President of 𝗥𝗏𝘀𝘶 or Kapisanan ng mga Gurong Nagmamahal kay Rizal, and he was also the advisor of member ni atong mga teachers dire karon of the 𝗥𝗏𝘀𝘶, mga Gurong Nagmamahal kay Rizal. Ana dayon. So he was the advisor of Bataris or Batang Kaparis ni Rizal. So tanan ni have teachers and youth ni ha, teachers, youth and children. All the children who love Rizal, teachers who love Rizal, and children who wants to be like Rizal. Batang Kaparis ni Rizal, Bataris. And he was also the former national president of the NSTP directors. NSTP means the National Service Training Program. This is all the students in the archipelago, in the country all students undergo NSTP. He was also the area commander of the Knights of Rizal in the Cebu City chapter. And he was able to present his Rizalism research in the International Research Conference in Bangkok, Thailand. So it is my honor to introduce to you. I'm so happy that he is with us for the first time here in our heritage event at 𝗵𝗲𝗍 Heritage Hotel. We're happy to introduce to you a leader of the Knights of Rizal with the highest rank of the Knight Grand Cross of Rizal. So please help me welcome Sir Romualdo Generalao,
Hello, good
KGCR.
afternoon to our audience and for those who are watching now, maayong hapon.
Maayong hapon to Sir Romualdo. Usually, I don't call our resource person Sir, pero kini butawag yung kong Sir Ali kay Night God. Basta Night gani Sir yun na. So daghang salamat to Sir Romy for being with us and also for being here last night to confirm his attendance, his presence today, because it's really hard to connect without, right now, it's very hard without messenger and kung ano. Sa una, I remember a long time ago, like how many, 30 years ago, when we can just communicate even with just landline, right? And right now, it's very hard to communicate already. Sa una, di ba, mag-dial-dial pa ta, and then when we say, we're going to meet on this day, wala na, di na ka masulti, o padung na ko, on my way. You're expected to really be there, di ba? Di, wala na, on my way, padung na ko. Sa una kay, makakonect rata with letters and landline. Nya karon is very it's already unthinkable na to have a messenger and a cell phone, mobile phone with you. So, of course, I also read in other places that there are already like vacation, like detox from gadgets, like a vacation with really zero gadgets to reset. So it's now happening that there would be a vacation with no gadgets and no internet. And it's a special vacation is being offered to have a vacation with no gadgets. Aside, of course, from like forest bath, that you go to the forest to hug a tree, to distress. So, daghang salamat to 𝗵𝗲𝗍𝗶 says our video is 𝗥𝗜𝗀𝘁𝗁. 𝗵𝗲𝗍 is also from the Visayas, although teaching in Luzon or in Taguig City and Pateros. And also 𝗀𝗁𝗶 Blanco is watching online from Lapu-Lapu. Daghang salamat, 𝗀𝗁, for joining us this afternoon. Lanay Molina is watching from Taguig City and Pateros. Catherine is saying, okay ang visual pero karat gamay ang audio. Karat ni, so ako may dili karat or ang mga microphone nato ang karat? Or i-check nato? So now we would like to also to let you know that we have our exciting trivia questions and also with prizes, and also we also have our reactor. In a while, also a history researcher, and also a teacher, formerly from Talisay and now from CEDU. And so now we would start our questions. We also would like you to know that you would be reading your questions and reactions as we go along, although we also have an open forum at the end of the conversations with our panelists. So first, I would like to ask our KGCR, Knights Grand Cross of Rizal. So we have Sir Romy here with us. Please show Sir Romy. So we would like to ask from Sir Romy regarding how did he become a bata nga nagmamahal kay Rizal, or gurong nagmamahal kay Rizal. So before he became a teacher, he was first a bata na batang kaparis ni Rizal. So we would like to know how old was he when he knew about Rizal and when he started admiring Rizal. That's why he became now a KGCR, the highest ranking in love with Rizal from the Knights of Rizal, and a teacher, guro. Oh, microphone.
I'm sorry. Kagunari meaning kapisanan ng mga gurong nagmamahal kay Rizal. It was organized in UP Diliman.
So,
Our president at the time was UP Professor Dr. 𝗵𝗲𝗿𝗀𝗃𝗀
yes. So, I would ask later about the guro nagmamahal kay Rizal. So, kana nga pagmamahal forever, yun na. Kuan gid siya, and it's a love that never dies.
Okay, patay naman si Rizal, so we cannot do anything. We expect that he cannot be changed anymore because he's already dead. What we are going to recall and reminisce all part aspect of his life, his work, literary, especially.
Excuse ha. Murag natay problem gamay sa atong microphone. Pwede na to ma-change ang microphone? So, pwede na nato ma-remove ang question? Yeah, so now we would like, how old were you when you first knew about Rizal and got interested and wanted to be like Rizal? So batang kaparis ni Rizal yung ka at first before you become gurong nagmamahal kay Rizal.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. First, at the age of 27, I was able to join I learned about 𝗥𝗏𝗀𝗁𝗧. And when I was in college, truly, I was not so aware about, I know Rizal as a hero, but intensely, I don't know about him. When I was in college, that's true. But when I was the advisor of the Supreme Student Council, and I was asked by our president as the advisor of Student Council, I was asked to chaperone our student leaders and our editorial staff of Cebu Normal University at the time, ang title, ang suga. So that was the first exposure of Rizalism. I was able to view and observe when we attended the the National Rizal Youth Leadership Institute in Baguio. Traditionally, it's always in Baguio City. But there was a time, at the time, the year of roping, that for the first time, supposedly, the National Rizal Youth Leadership Institute in I think it was 38 in supposedly to be outside Baguio. For how many decades, Baguio City. The plan was here in Cebu, in Ecotech Center. That was the plan because it's center. So supposedly the first time. But when roping struck Cebu, so it was canceled and back to Baguio City. And that was my first exposure about Rizalism when one of the professors of, I forgot the family, Fernandez. Professor Fernandez, one of the officers of the Knights of Rizal, at the same time organizers of that National Rizal Youth Leadership Institute. Until now, it's still going every December. The gathering of almost from 700 to 800 student leaders nationwide, no? At the time, my first time when I attended, I saw delegates from Tawi-Tawi and Sulu. And 800 plus. And during that Leadership Institute, the students, they were undergoing leadership training, lecture in parliamentarian procedure, how to organize, then team building, initiated by those trained student leaders. And we faculty were separated. And that was the first time that we're talking about the 𝗥𝗏𝗀𝗁𝗧. It was Professor Fernandez and Alex Del Madrid of Lasal, if I recall, Ami Rosales of PUP, and Dr. Alma Fernandez. We talk and discuss about the preparation of the centennial celebration of the 𝗀𝗟𝗏 𝗀𝗃𝗃𝗃. That was 89-90. And the centennial celebration of the 𝗀𝗟𝗏 𝗀𝗃𝗃𝗃, supposedly it was in 1998, and the plan also for the centennial celebration of 𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪 So that was the time that we had our meeting after the Baguio conference. We had a meeting in UP Diliman, and there we organized. Our national president was Alma Pixon Fernandez, the wife of Attorney Fernandez, the the lawyer of the General Electric, the lawyer of the General Electric, American-sponsored company against that nuclear plant in Bataan. And our national vice president was Alex de la Madrid from De La Salle, Ame Rosales from Luzon. I was in the national vice president for Visayas and Mindanao. So that was my first involvement of the so-called 𝗥𝗶𝘇𝗹. And then it spread out every year. We had a meeting until such time the 𝗺𝗵𝗵𝗃𝗃 Centennial Celebration and the 𝗵𝗵𝗿𝗂𝘀𝗵𝗄 Centennial was held in UP Diliman. So that's all. That's my first exposure of Rizalism. First in 𝗥𝗶𝘇𝗹 before the Knights of Rizal.
So,
Thank you.
daghang salamat, Sir Romy. So, we would also now like to ask Professor Laila. So, we are going to discuss more regarding the Knights of Rizal in a while. But now we would like also to ask Professor Laila regarding her study, why on the Rizalista, and what led you to research about the Rizalista movements?
Okay, good afternoon. Good afternoon once again. 2 points. First, of course, I'm a history teacher. And then almost every semester, I'm handling the Rizal course, the life, works, and writings of Rizal. So as a teacher, especially in the tertiary level, we really have to read, and read. We don't have to stop research. We read new books, new acquisitions, because there's a lot of current authors, historians, who are studying and restudying the life of Rizal. So also, because of this interest, anywhere we go, kung maglaag-laag we always, and then we know that in that place, there's a place specially for Rizal. We look for it. No, so we call it as an obsession, but we look for it, not only in the Philippines, but even outside the Philippines. Because through this, we learn history on the grounds. So we might read something about Rizal, and it's different when you are already on those places. And second, my master's thesis was all about dissident and reformative religious movements. So Cebu ang focus. And instead of having 10 to 20 years only, I ended up with 1900s to 1990. This was sa Tagalog pa, kasagsagan ng mga religious movements, not only in Cebu but as well as in the Philippines. So in Cebu, I found 14 religious movements, and I will be discussing also later on what among the 14 religious movements in Cebu, kung unsay na ay Rizalista, or a touch of worshiping Rizal or admiring Rizal, and different aspects of Rizal's life and works. So, dito nag-start. And so, because of this interest, every now and then, I'm very much interested in studying the life, writings of Rizal and its legacy to the Filipinos.
So, daghang salamat to Professor Laila for sharing with us how she was able to research about the Rizalistas. So, we would know more about, so there are 14 Rizalista cults.
Not exactly
Or organizations.
Rizal cults, but in Cebu from 1900s to 1990, I found 14 religious groups. Among the 14, there were quite a number who's giving special attention to Rizal.
14,
So,
but out of those,
14. Out of 14, I think there were 6. 6 of it are focusing on the life and works of Rizal, the legacies of Rizal.
daghang salamat. So now, we would like you to know that here at Congress sa Cebu Heritage Hotel's Pasahanan, we had so many books about our history and our heroes. So of course here we have a book about this is for the children. So this is the Bayani biography. It's available. We have only a few copies left. This is for the youth. it's actually it has very big font and also drawings and also illustrations, and it appeals to the youth. Bayani biography is available here at our basahanan at Pamgras, the Cebu Heritage Hotel. So of course we also have our books on. Although this is not about this book is about. There are so many articles here and researches from the historians all over the Philippines. Lansangan at liwasan, pampublikong espasyo sa pag-aaral ng kasaysayan at kalinangang Pilipino. So this is about our streets and spaces, that we would know more about the history of our place, and also we would know more about the history of the monument. So there is actually one article here by Ian Christopher Alfonso, also a historian and now formerly from NHCP, and he is now in UP Diliman Department of History, and his article is about 𝗥𝗶𝘶𝗹 Rizal ng 1919 at King of 𝗥𝗶𝘶𝗹 ng 1934. Mga bantayog ng pagyakap ng mga 𝗥𝗶𝗶𝗹 sa Kamalayang Bayan noong ika-20 taon. And then of course, there are many other articles here. Of course, regarding José Rizal, there is an article from Nilo S. Ocampo, PhD, Dakilang palatandaan mga monumento ni José Rizal bilang pambansang pagpupuwang. So how do you translate that into English, be? Pambansang pagpupuwang, national. So I would ask the Taguig City and Pateros watching right now. There is an article here about Dakilang palatandaan. So Dakilang palatandaan, the great marker, the great marker, palatandaan. Mga monumento ni José Rizal, the monuments of José Rizal as national identity, pagpupuwang. So it could be national identity. So there are other articles here about our monuments and our spaces that that would tell us more about our history and our culture. So and I would introduce to you more books in a while. So now I would go back to Sir Generalao, Michael. We would go back to Sir. Yes. So now we would like to ask regarding the Knights of Rizal. Of course, we know that Professor Laila told us about in Cebu there are more than like 14 organizations that are about Rizal, but not all of them. Only 6 are cults. So maybe one of these organizations in the 14 is the Knights of Rizal. Dili. Excluding pa di ay ang Knights of Rizal. May we have water already for our kuan here sa atong mga resource persons. So we would like to ask Sir Romy regarding what influence. So we would like to know a brief background of the Knights of Rizal. When was it formed, and why? What influenced its formation?
The Knights of Rizal actually started by few 9 men led by the Manila Chief of Police, Colonel Torres. And after the death of Rizal, they were thinking how we are going to honor Rizal. And they initiated that during the December 30 death anniversary of Rizal, they are going to present, shall we say, floral offering in Luneta. No? So this started 9 people. And then their uniform, long sleeve and khaki. And that was every December 30, they try to perpetuate that activity during December 30, death anniversary of Rizal. until such time, it became a public corporation. No? When it became a public corporation through a mandate of what they call Republic Act 646, that law made the Knights of Rizal a public corporation. And kudos to the previous president at the time, President 𝗵𝗂𝘀𝗁𝗏. Yeah, 𝗵𝗂𝘀𝗁𝗏. It became a law in 1951. So that was the beginning that it was institutionalized. That Knights of Rizal became an organization whose character is, of course, it's cultural, non-sectarian, non-partisan, and patriotic organization. And so, patriotic, cultural, non-sectarian, non-partisan. And until such time, it evolved not only in the Philippines, but throughout the world, no? And as Filipinos, we should be proud that here comes an organization started in the Philippines and whose main office or international headquarters based in Manila, compared to other international organizations like the Kuta Club, the Rotary, the Lions, the Freemasonry, all of them, Girl Scout, Boy Scouts, are based in Europe and the United States. But here comes the Knights of Rizal, based in the Philippines and the capital, Manila, where our international headquarters is located. No, so that's how the Knights of Rizal in its existence. Okay, thank you.
So daghang salamat to Sir Romy for that. So 𝗵𝗲𝗿𝗀𝗀 also a member of the Knights of Rizal, is watching us online. Ay, 𝗵𝗲𝗿, apas diri 𝗵𝗲𝗿, kay magstorya ta diri. Kay na, si Sir Romy is looking for you. So we need to gather after this event, kay we would continue our discussion about Rizal. So he is mentioning that Ian Alfonso, the author I mentioned, is also a member of the Knights of Rizal. And also Bernadette Masuli is saying good afternoon, magandang hapon mula sa Kapitan José Cardones Integrated School. And also Victoria Pulido Alvaro, also watching from Pitugo High School. And also Darlene Ayesha Katok is watching, and also our bagong, 𝗵𝗂𝗀𝗏 Street Children's Choir, one of the trainers of the 𝗵𝗂𝗀𝗏 Street Children's Choir, Zelga, is also watching. Daghang salamat, Zelga, for watching. And so we would like to ask from Sir Romy regarding how does the Knights of Rizal promote Rizal's ideals today, or what are the ideals of Rizal that they are promoting today?
The social political ideals that the Knights of Rizal...
Michael, isa ka dyan, ha? Yes. Sige, okay na.
Yes. The social and political ideals initiated by the Knights of Rizal and the propagation of Rizalism. No? When you say Rizalism, it's a combination of nationalism and patriotism, and that's Rizal, no? Although we don't need to die in Lunita again just to perpetuate the life of Rizal, but something that we are advocating, for example, the cultural nationalism. When you say nationalism, it's love and loyalty to one's country, and the cultural nationalism that we should conserve our heritage. Like for us in the Visayas, we should be proud of our language, Cebuano, and we should not be ashamed in speaking our own language in our own land in the Visayas, no? And this cultural preservation, like the Knights of Rizal sponsored during our time, when I was the advisor of the Caparis, we had what we call this cultural revival, wherein there was the bala contest among university students, college students, here in Cebu. I think the time was, he was with me, 𝗷𝗂𝘀𝗶𝗹. He's a Knights of Rizal also. We went to every school. And during the time of Sir Bobby Knight in Ofirio, we had the bala contest, no, of the youth, and not only balak but also the singing of Visayan songs and Tagalog songs, no. In Cebu Normal University, we initiated that also, like the contest of the native songs there in Cebu Normal University. And that's part of the cultural love of our language, our dances, which we should appreciate, no? Especially those meaningful songs based on Cebuano. And the Knights of Rizal is very happy to have that Metro Cebu Pop Music Festival initiated by former Congressman Gulyas, Governor Gulyas, because it encouraged and tried to evolve the Visayan songs, like a very famous songs like Kausan Nabasa ang Tubig, which is very meaningful, sung by former Stewart Papas. And in the, what we call this economic nationalism, we try to teach our students, remind our students that if possible, the Filipino products, they should patronize. How can we develop our economy if we will not patronize our own products? In that case, then we help our local base Filipino inventors and manufacturers to research more. If we buy more products of the Philippines, then they can set aside money for research. And one example is the foreign company like Samsung. The Korean-based company, they allocated a lot of research, so they develop and improve their products. So we encourage our students that, if possible, you buy our products so that we can improve our products because there is a sale. And last is the political. Do not exchange your votes for any amount when there is an election, because Rizal said, like people, like government. What kind of government you have? Because that we are such kind of people. Some sold their votes to politicians, so we deserve that kind of government leaders. So that is what we're trying to propagate. And the National Rizal Youth Leadership Institute, every year, those are the activities that try to be incurred to our youth leaders, no? Especially the higher education youth leaders and also writers. Every year, it is initiated by the Knights of Rizal.
So, dahil salamat to Sir Romy for sharing with us how the Knights of Rizal promote the ideals of Rizal today. So, it's very interesting that the Knights of Rizal was part of the Pop Music Festival, and also, so please tell us, do you know? Can you relate? So, for those who are in Taguig City and Pateros, Sir Romy Generalao was saying about kausan na basa ang tubig. So, in Tagalog, sige ko na be, sa wala pag Tagalog na be, kausan na basa ang tubig. Once the water became wet. English na siya. Kung once ka ng kausa, nabasa ang tubig. Once the water got wet. Oh, dili kay poetic, no? Kung imo ng Tagalogon.
May I say something?
Oh, sige. Ikaw, hello, Sir Roby.
Well, we are not actually involved in the Metro Cebu Pop Music Festival, but we supported it. In fact, our leaders in the Knights of Rizal, who are advocating the Visayan songs. Here, in fact, we have here Sir 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏.
Daghang salamat to Sir
Who got
𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏.
involved in the Visayan movie with Gloria Sibilia and Cesar Montano. That's a Cebuano movie. And we have also a Knight of Rizal who is always part and master of ceremonies of the Metro Cebu Pop Music. Knights of Rizal, the pianist, si Sam Costanilla and the late 𝗷𝗂𝘀𝗋𝗋𝗋. They are advocating, and in fact, si 𝗷𝗂𝘀𝗋𝗋𝗋, they presented a sort of drama. In fact, it reached to Canada about Rizal, 𝗥𝗶𝘇𝗹, whose talents from different colleges and universities in Cebu, they presented it in Canada, no? The
Yes.
𝗥𝗶𝘇𝗹.
Yes.
So those
Sir
are the
Romy, I have a challenge for you. Can you relate the title of the song, Kausa na Basa ang Tubig, to the life of Rizal? Sa amin na. Sa mga, in English, rough translation is once the water got wet. So sa Tagalog, minsan nabasa ang tubig. Oh. Nga na, minsan nabasa ang tubig. Sakto ra pagka-pronounce? Minsan nabasa ang tubig. Sige, kanang relate it to Rizal. Grabe, taga-ata kag challenge. Sige lang, mga kaon mo kag mitrol karon. Okay. Minsan, related to Rizal's life.
I'm trying to present that there is a very beautiful meaning of Cebuano songs that our youth should also give importance. And not only the melody, but the meaning and the essence of Cebuano songs, which not only the Knights of Rizal, but I think all of us Visayans and Cebuanos should preserve and nurture these, shall we say, cultural practices, traditions that we are practicing. And that Kausa na Basa ang Tubig, one of the interests of the Metro Cebu Pop Music Festival. And I forgot who is the composer of that, but that's a typical example of how nice our Cebuano songs.
How beautiful.
Yes.
Yes. So, challenge na ha, after during the open forum, those on site can tell us how do you relate to Rizal's life, kausa na basa ang tubig. According to also to a teacher from Taguig City and Pateros, nang minsang nabasa ang tubig. Nang minsang nabasa ang tubig. So, related to Rizal's life. Murataan niyo og kanang isi-writing sa kanang class. So, daghang salamat to Sir Romy for that. So now my next question is for Professor Laila. So before that, I would like to read some comments also from our audience. So we have my teacher in history in college at UP, Cebu, Professor Dr. 𝗀𝗂𝘀𝗋𝗋 is saying, there is also a Knights of Rizal Aloha chapter in Hawaii that sponsored an online lecture series during the pandemic. Aloha chapter published the book containing these lectures on various topics. So daghang salamat to Dr. 𝗀𝗂𝘀𝗋 for that, for sharing with us about the Knights of Rizal in different parts of the world. Knights of Rizal is not just in the Philippines, but is also now in different parts of the world. And we have from a history graduate of USC, Raul Gabriel Buzon, watching us. And Ann Jo is a teacher also from Taguig Science High School, watching. And also PJ Ceremonia, watching from 𝗥𝗶𝗶MHS Maine. Daghang salamat for joining us this afternoon. And we would like you to share with us the best answer that would touch the hearts of our panelists would win another prize. If you would be able to relate, kausa nabasa ang tubig, nang minsang nabasa ang tubig, when the water got drenched, lain na sad, when the water got soaked, daghan na kaayong water, kausa nabasa ang tubig to the life of Rizal. So kinsay mohatag alaon niya ha. Natay daghang mga entry diri unya from our on-site audience. So our next question, so I would show you that we have our books here related to the Ilustrados. Of course, José Rizal is an Ilustrado, brains of the nation, although José Rizal is not part of this, but he was also one of the brains of the nations, and it's by, this is by Dr. 𝗵𝗂𝗀𝗃, and we have also a book here, Elites and Ilustrados in Philippine Culture by Caroline Howe. So it's also available here at our basahanan. So our next question for Professor Laila is regarding the Rizalista groups, about her study. May we show, yes, Professor Laila, and we would like to know about the earliest Rizalista groups, who founded these groups, and what were their beliefs.
Okay, the earliest court 1930s, watawat ng wat. But prior to that, there are religious groups that already idolizing Rizal, or to some extent worshiping Rizal. So maybe we can trace, it's worth mentioning also, that during the Philippine Revolution, KKK, for example, the password ng mga Katipuneros was Rizal. And then many of the headquarters of KKK, andun yung picture ni Rizal. Emilio Aguinaldo also declared December 30 as a general day for mourning of Rizal's death. So those were some of the signs na Filipinos were honoring Rizal even before 1900s. So among the religious groups within my study, it's Colorum who gave us an idea of how they honor Rizal, even Aguinaldo and Bonifacio, because this Colorum movement was a revolutionary movement. It actually started late 1896 or 1898. And then they were against the Spaniards. And then in early 1900s, they were also against the Americans. But in their structure, political structure, for example, there is Jesus Christ, then below Jesus Christ was José Rizal, because they believe that José Rizal was the anointed son of God. Almost the same line with José Rizal, parang dalawa siyang branches. The other one is for Bonifacio, the other one is for Aguinaldo, because they believe that these people were the ones who helped liberate the Philippines, and so they were also sent by God. So it was, Colorum did not exist in Luzon alone, but even in Visayas and here in Cebu in particular. So we have Colorum, members of Colorum movements in the early 1900s in Tuburan. But later on, one of the leader separated and moved to Pinamungahan. And so that was the existence of another religious group, which was La Sagrada Familia, who was also honoring Rizal. Another group here in Cebu, I already mentioned two, the Philippine Benevolent Missionaries Association of Robin Ecleo Sr. They have songs, they have chants, they have poems about Rizal, and of course, they're honoring Rizal June 19 and December 30. The Moncadistas also is one of the group here in Cebu. Another one is San Miguel Movement somewhere in San Remigio. And another one, the sixth one, is La Valle Verde. This La Valle Verde is located in Lutupan, or in the mountains of Toledo City. And this is a group of women. But they have songs, they have chants, they have prayers honoring Rizal. So most of the time, because we have a lot of Rizalistas even up to the present in Luzon and Mindanao, they are still existing. They are just maybe diminishing in number, but they are just there. So commonalities is really the associated José Rizal as the anointed son of God, or next to Jesus Christ, because they associated the death of Rizal to the death of Jesus Christ, the suffering Christ. No, the suffering, what do you call that one? Sacrificing for the Filipinos just to get just to gain the Philippine independence. So practically, that's the similar attributes of the Rizalistas all over the Philippines. Not necessarily calling themselves as Rizalista as a group, but inculcating or integrating the beliefs and practices, honoring, or to some extent, worshipping José Rizal.
And dahil salamat, Professor Laila, for sharing that. And so we would like to know, how did these groups, where did the groups get their data or facts or their knowledge about the life and works of Rizal?
First and foremost, the two novels, 𝗀𝗵𝗿𝗃𝗁 and 𝗵𝗂𝗍𝗟𝗔 was already spread throughout the Philippines, especially even before the revolution. So with the coming in of the Americans, there was also the intensifying on educational system. And so it was already a freer country. So they knew it by word of mouth, and of course they've read what was happening in the Philippines at that time. So we also have more newspapers in early 1900s that talks about it and all the things happening in the Philippines. So with the works and writings of Rizal, it's spread throughout the country. So you even mentioned a while ago that there was a time that Rizal stepped Cebu, then significant area in Mindanao is the Pitan, and of course in Luzon. So word of mouth, and of course Filipinos who became more and more educated and more, aware, conscious of what's happening in the Philippines, nationhood, nationalism, independence. So I think that's it.
So, so now I would like to give the next question regarding why do the Rizalistas or some Rizalistas believe that Rizal is divine or the second son of God? And what are some unique practices that the Rizalistas have done in the name of faith?
They associated José Rizal as next to Jesus Christ because of how Rizal suffered under the Spaniards and the death. It was through the firing squad. So there was an escalating grievance of the Filipinos against the Spaniards towards the end of 1800s, middle of 1800s onwards. And the Philippine Revolution also spread from Luzon, Visayas, and even parts of Mindanao. So here comes somebody who stood up for the Filipinos. Maybe there was a time that he was only aiming for assimilation of the Philippines to the Spanish Cortes because he was thinking that if it will happen, there was equality between the Spaniards and the Filipinos. But even if we will just base it sa duha ka novels, 𝗀𝗵𝗿𝗃𝗁 and 𝗵𝗂𝗍𝗟𝗔, we can already see the transition. No, so kung subtle dito sa 𝗀𝗵𝗿𝗃𝗁 ang paghatag niya og idea of how to gain the independence, but in 𝗵𝗂𝗍𝗟𝗔 mas isug siya. So mas lantaray ang iyahang pag-present of what was happening in the Philippines, and there were already chapters or portions where he tried to suggest for a revolution and for independence. But almost always, in many of his writings, he would always specify that education is the only way for liberation, and it's the answer to the ignorance of a country, not only the Philippines. So in those cases, the sacrifices of Rizal was seen by the Filipinos, and in the Philippines, we have to accept also the fact that there is what we call, especially in other places or selected places, the existence of folk Catholicism. So in folk Catholicism, we always integrate the pre-colonial period and the colonial period or Catholicism, to the extent that when we talk of pre-colonial period, there was the presence of the priest and the priestesses, the mediator between between man and God. And in the case of Rizal, they saw Rizal as the mediator between the Filipinos and God, the God that they believe in, especially at that time. So the works of Rizal, the death of Rizal. They saw it as a great sacrifice, which is also associated with injustice, just like how Jesus Christ died. So in those ways, ma-associate nilang chosen people, person of God, or next to Jesus Christ, anointed Son of God, and so on.
So these groups, for example, are there groups in Cebu or in Central Visayas that would be like, that would stand out as really like portraying Jesus? I mean, seeing Jesus in the life of Rizal.
Here in Cebu, I don't find one. So they are not really pure Rizalistas, unlike the pure Rizalistas that we can still find in Mount Banahaw, in Mindanao, that their focus is really mainly José Rizal. But here in Cebu, I'm speaking of what I've researched. It's more on honoring and to some extent worshiping, pero it's more on honoring the life, works, and deeds of Rizal.
Yeah, so I have actually also encountered the Iskaya in Bohol. So there was a time, I learned that there was a time that they were led by a personality in a cave, but then they were called Rizalista, but I know their religion is actually 𝗥𝗶𝘇𝗹. They are from the Philippine Independent Church, but there are different already like branches or different different also it also like divided into different groups, although they are all like followers of course we know that Father 𝗥𝗶𝘇𝗹 was formerly also a priest, a Roman Catholic priest, and he also rose up against Spain, and he formed. So the Iskaya would say, although they wouldn't tell that to many people, only to those they would trust, and I'm now saying it in public, but I don't know if I'm allowed, but one of their songs is, there is a chorus in one of their songs that says, Mubalik si Rizal. And then also, they actually does not only, they do not only revere Rizal, but they also recognize all the heroes in the Philippine Revolution. So they mentioned that Andres Bonifacio is the General sa gira, Burgos ang sanga, si Rizal ang bunga, or something, and Andres Bonifacio, General sa gera, and they mentioned Mubalik si Rizal.
I also encountered two groups here in Cebu with songs and with similar lyrics nga Mubalik si Rizal.
Just like the resurrection of,
yes.
Like for, of course, we during the Mass, Roman Catholic nga Holy Mass, so there is a Christ has died, Christ is risen, and Christ will come again. So after the resurrection, and then he will come again to judge the living, the dead. So where did this come from? Why is it? Sa imong study, so where did this start? So what part in our archipelago, in the country, has started this notion that Rizal is supernatural and he is like Jesus Christ who will come again?
As I've mentioned a while ago, it all started with after his death. Even before his death, there were already those who were idolizing Rizal. And they got inspiration from Rizal. Because writing not only 𝗂𝗟𝗔𝗍𝗔 and 𝗷𝘂𝗀𝘀𝗋𝗋, it took, among the Filipinos for many years, it took somebody who was in Rizal's personality, who was able to wrote many things about the Filipinos and about the Philippines. So that's why the Rizal course is a Republic Acts, because it should be taught to the Filipinos even up to the present. Some of the Filipinos only saw or learned 𝗂𝗟𝗔𝗍𝗔 and 𝗷𝘂𝗀𝗍𝗔, many not by heart. But there are still a lot of writings and deeds of Rizal that should be taught to the Filipinos. So those were the inspiring acts or period wherein the Filipinos, for more than 300 years, saw someone who was brave to put it into writing. And because there was also suppression of, there was no freedom of press, no freedom of expression, but here comes somebody who was brave enough to do it. And so that started the inspiration. The inspiration that turned into idolizing, devotion later on, especially after his death.
So, of course, we also know that in the National Revolution in 1896 was actually like it's okay to pass. So, so the National Revolution it has elements of the pre-colonial belief system where our ancestors used amulets or anting-anting.
Yes.
So I also saw even those in those parts, like in those who believed in Rizal also, and also in the 𝗥𝗶𝘇𝗹. So they would wear like amulets, like our vestidora. So we have still our vestidora. Napatay na bilin for sale. Nahurot na hapit. So anyway, we also have our anting-anting here for sale at gikan gyud di sa taghibog anting-anting, although wala pa ni giyam-yaman. So the anting-anting now in until today now have religious symbols in it, and also of course Masonic mga symbols, mga eye, mga unsa na mga so naa na siya yung mga the elements of the pre-colonial belief system where they believed in anting-anting. And also their anting-anting, their tattoos were also actually also anting-anting.
Yes.
So when it was painted on the body or tattooed on the body in the past, it is now tattooed on clothes. It was now printed on clothes, the amulets. So in the past, it's on the body and also in the jewelry and their accessories, they had anting-anting. So until today, the anting-anting is still present, and they believe that those leaders, our ancestors actually also believe in the umalagad. In Luzon, it's anito. They believe that when an ancestor dies, when a very important person dies, he or she becomes also a god or a diwata or a lesser diwata. An umalagad is an intermediary to the supreme diwata in pre-colonial time. So now Rizal becomes like an umalagad here. It's in the Visayas, it's umalagad. In Luzon, it's anito. So actually, Dr. George Borinaga enlightened me in our previous discussion that anito is Luzon, the Luzon term, and it is umalagad here in the Visayas. So we have also sharing also from our audience online. So we have Michelle Arithusa saying, "Hi, Sir Generalao, student ni or friend?" And then we have SG Montes watching from UBNHS. And also Lourdes Apostol watching from Pateros Tipas Elementary School. Bibi Lewinsky watching online and on-site. And we have Mark Anthony Galan. Just sharing lang po. Way back in college, one of our requirements for the life and works of Rizal, we went to Lecheria, Laguna, wherein we were able to talk with and join the community of the Rizalistas. So what was the most important, unforgettable experience that you had, Mark? Please share with us. Watching from 𝗵𝗶𝘶 SDO Taguig City and Pateros. So Paing Argawanon is watching, and also, yes, Michelle, and also Ferdy is saying he was also Araling Panlipunan supervisor from Taguig, also said that he was able also to go to Lecheria, Laguna to join the community of Rizalista. So please tell us the most unforgettable experience that you had in the Rizalista community. And Rito Talud is watching from EREES. SDO tapat. So daghang salamat. So now my next question for Professor Laila is regarding the how do these Rizalista groups differ? So and how do they view and how do they differ in how they view and worship Rizal? So can we categorize or do they have different views? Do we have how many Rizal groups are there in the Philippines, or do you have a data of that, or for just the Central Visayas and the Visayas?
No, I don't have a data for the whole Philippines, but we really have a lot of Rizalistas. So the people in Laguna can attest to that. There are a lot, even in Laguna itself, there are a lot of Rizalistas. In fact, the first few Rizalistas were organized in Calamba, Laguna, the birthplace of Rizal. Then we also have quite a large one group in Mount Banahaw, all over Laguna itself. I even visited Pampanga with a group of Rizalistas. So I think the beliefs and practices of the Rizalistas would differ. So like for example, pure na Rizalistas, they really highlight Rizal. So once you get inside their chapel, it's Rizal who is there at the center of the altar. So just like the picture that is being shown now, you have God the Father, the Holy Spirit, Mother Mary, and Joseph. So they believe, most of the Rizalistas believe that José Rizal was the second to Jesus Christ, anointed Son of God also, who saves the Philippines. So practically, yun yung mga commonalities when we speak of Rizalistas na pure Rizalistas talaga. But there are also reformative and dissident religious movements. So when we say reformative and dissident religious movements, these were the religious movements so it's either parang humiwalay sa simbahan, but most of them are still claiming that they are Catholics, even up to the present, or they are still in the Catholic Church, active in the Catholic Church, but at the same time, they have this group. And so these are not really yung full-blown na Rizalistas. They're bringing other names. So like for example, La Valle Verde, it's an agricultural area. They were living in a communal life. So mo to'y center nila. San Miguel movement, the center was faith healing. But in those organization, andun yung pagka-Rizalista. So they're just worshiping, they are honoring Rizal, but not really focusing more on Rizal. Yung mga Rizalistas talaga, going back to those Rizalistas, pure na Rizalistas, they believe that their leader can heal because of Rizal. So that's why we will hear songs like 𝗵𝗲𝗿𝗀𝗃𝗃 Rizal, because this is also what is the concept of Christ. Nara na siya dinha, no? He's just there guiding everybody and so on. So these Rizalistas are, I haven't found any pure Rizalista here in Cebu, but outside Cebu, we have a lot. Luzon, especially in Luzon, specifically Laguna, mga Pampanga, kana diha nga area, and Mindanao, we still have pure Rizalistas. So ana siya diha mo differ of the prioritization, glorifying, worshiping Rizal versus secondary lang nila ang pag-honor, pag-worship ni Rizal. So, mauna siya kasagaran sa out of the 14, na 6, pero they were just honoring Rizal. To some extent, worshiping Rizal, but not really considered as Rizalistas.
So, what do we consider as Rizalista?
Those are really bringing the term Rizalistas. We are Rizalistas. Like, for example, so watawat ng lahi, for example, pure Rizalistas. Samahan ng watawat ng lahi, it's pure Rizalistas. So meaning, even in the picture in itself, center talaga si Rizal. They considered Rizal as next to Jesus Christ. Ilahang mga activities is emulating the works and deeds of José Rizal. They are also teaching over and over again the poems, the deeds, the writings of Rizal.
So that means that we would, the term Rizalista would refer to those who believe that Rizal had supernatural powers, or he is like a supernatural being, or
Yes.
he is a god, or a
To some
saint,
extent, God. Yeah.
the second son,
Yes.
the second son of God,
Yes. Anointed Son of God.
anointed.
So parang ganun. Oh.
Jesus was also the anointed son
Oh.
when Saint John the Baptist
Oh.
baptized
So
him.
siya parang second to Jesus Christ. They always equate them, they would always equate Rizal as second to Jesus Christ.
So that means they have also like some sort of a Bible that would tell us about like when Rizal was anointed, or
Not necessarily.
we don't know because it would be a
Yes.
secret.
Yes. Some of them don't even tell us anymore, especially when it comes to anting-anting associated with their group. In my interview and encounters, especially recently, they don't even talk about the anting-anting very in a detailed manner because it's always associated with responsibilities attached to it, like yam-yam, 𝗥𝗶𝘇𝗹, pahinungod, and all.
Yeah, so those are like pre-colonial
Yes.
practices like the orasyon, the yam-yam, the chanting, and of course the amulets. And they wouldn't tell us if we wouldn't, they wouldn't trust us yet.
Yes.
So daghang salamat for that. So I have a last question for you before I would also ask Sir Romy. So we have, we also have our, yes, we have our, those watching, Jennifer Socrates also from SDO Tapat, Taguig Integrated School, and Rito Talud Eres, SDO Tapat. So daghang salamat for joining us once again this afternoon. So we would like to ask, how does the Catholic Church respond to these folk religious movements centered on Rizal? So, what was the action, or what was the opinion, or did the Catholic Church respond to this, or wala ra?
Daghag kuan responses. There are also some reactions. Maybe Marbs later on can add something to it. But during the time of Rizal, they were really curtailed by the friars. When there was in 1950s, before the Rizal course was passed as a Republic Act, there were a lot of reactions from the Catholic churchmen nga dili ipa-offer as a course because no limitangiri and 𝗪𝗵𝗶𝗍 was accordingly heretic and anti-church, anti-Christ. But then, of course, there were the proponents of the Republic Acts. And so that was the first major event. Of course, there were also churchmen who were open-minded. Even in the life of Rizal, the Ateneans or the Jesuits understood Rizal much. So it was passed. Later on, or of course, in some of the areas where not only Rizalistas, but reformative and dissident religious movements, we have this term cult. So of course, these are some of the religious groups also who have cultic in nature. Some of the churchmen, the Catholic churchmen, what do you call this one? Will discriminate, will misunderstood them as cults, as cultic by nature. But many of the religious groups that I'm referring to are still claiming that they are Catholics. Many of them are still going to the Church of the Catholics or other Christian church. But in the history of the church, especially after the Vatican II, this is the opening of the church, the doors of the church, to listen to everybody. And so eventually, especially with the synod of synodality, there is the call of the church to embrace even those who are in the peripheral. Before, we used to think that interfaith dialogue of the church is only between the churchmen and the ethnic groups. But this time, it is being offered also to any of religious groups, reformative, dissident, or cultic by nature. And these groups should not be despised by the Catholic Church. Because sa ako alang study, one of the striking reason that they go to the religious groups, smaller groups, is because they are being listened to. The Catholic Church is a very huge church. We have a lot of, majority of the Filipinos are members of the Catholic Church. So meaning, these are the people who they feel nga they were not being listened to, they don't belong to a church, and so on and so forth. It may not be meaning the Catholic Church, but maybe other church. So that's why they resorted to smaller groups such as this kind of groups. So many, I'm talking of Cebu. I'm glad to witness that majority of this clergy here in Cebu are embracing them. They are being understood. They are being reached to because mao gyud kasagaran nila nga reason for going into smaller groups, smaller niya, to some extent cultic, because their needs are being met. So sa highlights sa mga religious groups, dissident and reformative religious groups, early 1900s until 1990, makita gyud nato ang pattern. If there is an extreme stress in the society, kagutom, gubat, no? Diseases, confusion and instability in the government, people tend to look for that group who can be their group. Their needs are met, makakaon, they are being listened to, maminaw, and they can express everything in that smaller groups. So that's why in the synodality, there is really the challenge of the church, not only to take a look at what's there in front of the church, but to take a look at the peripheral. So to also reach out to the last, the least, and the lost, or to all these communities, not only the IPs, but also these communities.
So we have
bring them back to the church.
Yes. So we also have a crash course on the church social teachings with Professor, the Roman Catholic Church social teachings. So of course, it's also with the Vatican II.
Yes.
It's already now open to interreligious dialogue, of course,
yeah.
Interfaith
Correct.
movements.
Oh.
Like it's also part of the interfaith movement. There was a representative last week in our discussion with the interfaith movement, a dato, and also some from the National Commission of Muslim Filipinos. So the church now engages in dialogue with other groups, religious
Yes.
groups. So there are comments here. We have, I don't know who's this. Maybe this is a student, 𝗵𝗲𝗀𝗁𝗍. Hello, Ma'am Lai, I miss you. Sana
miss you
all.
too.
Walay mag-miss na ako. Diha, grabe si
I'm a former student.
Miss you too, Kudo. Miss you too. Dayon, John Marlon Ibanez from Fort Bonifacio High School. And Mona Owano Ibanez is saying, hello, Miss Laila Rosas Labajo. Kompleto yun ni. Di Laila yun da. Kaya kompleto pag yun. So, tayong salamat to those who just gave their comments. We have an exciting trivia quiz with prizes in a while. So now we would like you to know that here at Pamgrasa Cebu Heritage Hotel, we also, of course, we know that the revolution of 1896 in Luzon, after La Liga Filipina was it was dissolved because Rizal was already arrested. Katipunan was already formed by the KKK, Kagalang-galangan, Kataas-taasang Katipunan ng mga anak ng bayan, was formed by Andres Bonifacio on July, mga history teachers. Kana dakop si Rizal. Allah, when was Rizal arrested? When was Rizal arrested? At tawag palaban ani sa mga Knights of Rizal. When was Rizal arrested? It was the same day, July 7, di ba? 1892 was the founding of the Katipunan. Yes, so on this, that was on the same day when Rizal was, when was the La Liga Filipina? It was just a few days after the meeting of the La Liga Filipina that Rizal was arrested. And of course, a few days after that, that Katipunan was formed. So, July 7, congratulations to Ferdy, Araling Panlipunan Supervisor of DepEd Taguig City and Pateros for knowing that Katipunan was formed on July 7. And so it was, after that, of course, it took a few years. That was 1892. 1896 was the cry when it became the declaration of the revolution, because it was at first a secret society. And now Katipunan already came to Cebu. So we would like you to know that we have books here at PAMGRAS about the leaders of the revolution of 1898 in Cebu. So we have the arena from Dr. 𝗵𝗲𝗀𝗁𝗍. He has studied the educational background, and so of course we have a teacher here, a history, taking up masters in history, who came from the Seminario Mayor de San Carlos, and most of the leaders, like more 80% of the leaders of the revolution in Cebu in 1898, they were educated in the Seminario Colegio de San Carlos. So it's here, and also from where they are in the Philippines, because the revolutionaries, the leaders of the revolution here, did not just come from Cebu. They came from Mindanao, Luzon, and other parts of the Visayas. So it's here in Dr. 𝗵𝗲𝗀𝗁𝗍's book. Dr. 𝗵𝗲𝗀𝗁𝗍 said he's coming to Cebu, and now he still has not arrived, even until today. So we have also the book published by PAMGRAS, the 2021 edition of A Short History of Cebu and the Anti-Spanish Revolution in Cebu by Junicio C. And also another book published also by PAMGRAS, the 𝗀𝗂𝗀𝗁𝗍𝗵𝗏, The Untold Story of the 1898 Cebu Revolution. And we have here also, we are still reprinting the 𝗀𝗂𝗀𝗁𝗍𝗵𝗏 o Nagsigbin, nga gisugilon sa mga sugbuanong bata. But we have here the Cebu Hero stickers, still available at our Sinugatan Gifts from Cebu. The heroes, the leaders of the revolution in Cebu, as visualized, as illustrated by the Christine Ann Sabaan, who was 16 years old when she illustrated the book Si 𝗀𝗂𝗀𝗁𝗍𝗵𝗏 og ang Sigbin, nga gisugilon sa mga sugbuanong bata. So now, I would like to call from the Knights of Rizal. So we have Sir Romy Generalao, the GC, asa na to? Grand Cross.
Knight Grand Cross of Rizal. KGCR. We are the same rank with Sir Warfi.
So we have here, we are so honored that we have here the highest ranking Knights of Rizal with us this afternoon. And we would request later Sir Warfe, another KGCR,
KGCR.
KGCR. It's a Knight
Grand
Cross of Rizal. So, of course, Sir Warfi later, a descendant of the great chief of Cebu, Tupas. He was also a descendant of heroes and warriors. So we would now request him later, after our conversations, to offer a song for Rizal. Kay kuan man ni siya, ang the great performer and singer, and kanang grabe kay katong when he sang, when we trace the history of the guitar. Yes, he serenaded me with a very beautiful Bisaya nga kanta sa gugma. Usa kay harana sa gugma. So mga last year, 2 years ago, when we traced the history of the guitar. So we would now like to ask Sir Romy regarding the myths and misconceptions about Rizal that the Knights of Rizal are actively seeking to dispel through their activities. So are there myths about Rizal that your group is seeking to try to counteract? So by the way, someone was making a comment yesterday in our photo when you were here that a former editor of Sunstar Daily, he mentioned my great teacher in Rizal. Oh. So si taga former editor sa Sunstar, he already retired. Si kaysa to ay later I will remember. So you were a teacher. You were also his teacher. Are you still teaching Rizal?
At this time, wala na wala.
Ni undang nakagtudlo.
I was assigned in the ROTC and in STP. Yeah.
So wala na ka magtudlo sa Rizal.
Supposedly there was a subject, but I was requested that will be given to our part-timers. So I give in para po sa atong mga part-timers.
Yes. So now we would like to ask, what are the misconceptions or myths about Rizal that you know, and also, yes.
First of all, the Knights of Rizal, as a whole, we don't believe that Rizal as featured by other group as a perfect person. No? Rizal was also committed sort of deficiency, mistakes in his life. So we try to tell them that Rizal was also an ordinary person. No, something good for Rizal. He was an ordinary, but he did a lot of good things, magnanimous for the country. So those are the things that we would like to try to dispel from the minds of everybody, that Rizal is not perfect. Because of his imperfection, there are some groups who would like to, some of them fabricating a lot of things, like, just to mention, Rizal was the father of Hitler. Rizal, because of him, there was a premature birth of his son because he kicked 𝗷𝗂𝘀𝗹. Those are the things that we should correct because it's not true, no? And likewise, Rizal is not God, no, as perceived by other group. But talking about the other group, like yung mga Rizalistas and occult, we respect them. That's their own belief. That's their own religious freedom. In fact, we don't give comments to them. So to avoid any conflict, we respect their views about Rizal. And I would like to share my experience with when I was teaching Rizal. I brought my students from the 80s to the early 20s. I always brought Rizal to the Pitan, so I saw how the Pitan Museum came out from an ordinary, surrounded by trees. There was a time that our students very excited, especially bago sila sa Cebu, outside the Pitan, they were shouting about taking pictures, and they were cautioned by this, yung naka-wear na white, this religious group, telling our students, you behave because this is a secret place. And these people, Rizalistas, ang ilang leader somewhere from Bohol. So our students went to the other place. One of my students in Nadapa. So one of the Rizalistas commented, nagabaan ka ni Rizal. So something like that, no? So they believe Rizal as shall we say, parang Diyos. And I would like also to experience my experience in Watawat ng Lahi. They have a church on top of the hill in Calamba. And their church, we have 10 commandments, pero nakita ko 12 ang ila. Because they integrated yung sa kang, itong kang Jacinto. Instead of 12. And they are all wearing white. Sa ilang altar, this the statue of Rizal, then my angel. And then, sad to note, medyo nagkalalis to sila because it so happened that the wife belongs to other religion. So they don't like that statue. And they really greatly believe on Rizal. But they perceive Rizal as parang santo. And all of them are wearing white. And I was surprised most of their members who were there are from Mindanao, no? From Samar, Surigao, Agusan. And likewise, in Dapitan, I interviewed the same wearing white, yung sa Dapitan, may mga taga-Dumanhog, may taga-Mandawi, and they believe and follow the teaching of their leaders, but we give respect and we don't give any negative comments on these people. The last experience I had when we had in Banahaw, somewhere along the river, you can see a lot of religious cults there, and one yung Rizalistas, because mayroong mga caves dyan, daming caves, no? And one religious group was telling me to join them to witness the New Jerusalem behind that mountain. Tapos ang waterfalls, hindi daw tubig, dugo ang mag-falls. So anyway, I just smiled and I did not made any comments. And I did not join, I did not go with the group, no? So that's how people try to perceive Rizal. And we in the Knights of Rizal, we respect them. That's their freedom of religion as long as it won't create any violence.
So daghang
Thank you.
salamat, Sir Romy, for sharing. So Ferdy of Pagaw of Taguig City and Pateros says July 3 was the founding of the La Liga Filipina. And Ahmed saying Roger Valiana, yes, si Roger, ang imong student that who was a former editor, news editor of Sunstar Daily, your student in Rizal. So we have Paul Camuro watching from the Flag Tour Guides watching online. And Ellen says we are looking forward to have Dr. Michael Colonnane because to be in Cebu. The last time we had him was in 2018. So Catherine, a former teacher also in one of the schools in Cebu, is asking, why are the Rizalistas in the Pitan wearing white cloth or like sotana? Who would like to answer this? Si Sir Romy. Actually, one of the professors, one of my schoolmate in college from Polsai, Professor Rex Amoy, we had him as Amoy from the Pitan. He was a friend he's a friend in Facebook, and he reacted with our photo. So he was also one of our panelists 2 years ago regarding the topic Rizal loves Cebu, Cebu loves Rizal, because there was a Cebuano also who was in the Pitan, one of the students of Rizal. Was it a Borromeo? Yes. So the question here is, why are they wearing white cloth or like a sotana?
First of all, most of the religious group or
may we show Sir Romy Generalao? Yes.
okay.
Yes.
It started their belief on Rizal as parang divine, parang Diyos, because when Rizal was in the Pitan, he practiced religion faithfully every day according to books as recorded, and he practiced medicine. He cured a lot of patients in the Pitan. That for them it's a miracle, no? Because modern medicine at the time was not so popular in a remote place like the Pitan at the time. So when Rizal introduced modern medicine, healing, with the use of modern medicine, but some of my interviews, they said sometimes Rizal applied hilot, but actually it's not hilot, it's part of the therapeutic. Now in medicine, we call it physical therapy. And they were amazed of the healing of some of these patients, that they wearing white because Rizal was a doctor and medicine. Until now, you cannot see doctor wearing black. No, they always keep wearing white. And because Rizal was a medical practitioner and the color usually white, then they try to wear also, trying to follow what Rizal was wearing. And at the same time, they thought that white color represents purity and divinity.
So is it so? But you are wearing Barong.
This is our barong representing the Knights of Rizal. And if you can see, parang flowers here, it represents the national flower, the sampaguita.
Pagita.
Yeah. And you cannot buy any kind of this uniform. It's exclusive of the Knights
But
of Rizal
your
in the
sash
international
is,
quarter.
your sash is
Yeah,
gold and
gold and
Maroon.
Maroon. Yes.
Is there a meaning of that, or is it a secret?
Uh,
It's a
no,
secret.
anyway, when you think about gold, it's about nobility, chivalry. That's why we call it Orden de Caballeros de Rizal. And this was started by Colonel Torres way back in 1919, no? So we follow. And barong is the national costume among Filipinos. But we have uniform, it started in Europe, winter countries where we have a lot of Knights of Rizal there. They are wearing, as Sir Warpy was wearing the other night, we call it the winter coat Knight of Rizal. And
Sa black na.
yes, and
Kaya ka black, Amerikana, biya to si Kuan, di ba?
yes, and that black, usually it started in Europe because they have winter, and then we called it when they have assembly, European assembly or US assembly, they worn it and they called it, especially during gala night, no? Rizal Gala night. And I would like to add also yung sa Aloha. During our last assembly held in Cebu City, the Hawaiian chapter of the Knights of Rizal, together with the Damas de Rizal and the 𝗥𝗶𝘇 Rizalista, I think they're one of the delegates, participants na pinakamaraming participants joining the International Assembly. Itong Aloha Hawaiian chapter of the Knights of Rizal, together with the Damas de Rizal. And next, I think nag-compete sila with the European delegates. And of course, the US. Ang dami nila. In fact, I made a comment. Siguro mas daghan pa man sila, mas marami pa man sila sa ating Philippine delegates. There were so many. And I said, that's how they try to embrace the teachings and ideals of Rizal. No? In fact, they are living in advanced country. You cannot tell them that they are illiterate or ignorant. No?
Yes. So daghang salamat to Sir Romy for that. So we have the last two questions. I have two more questions for both of one for each panelist. So we invite you to give your questions, and of course we will have the reaction from our history researcher after my last two questions. So daghang salamat to Katipunero descendant 𝗵𝗲𝗍𝗪 Salazar Yucaran for watching. And of course, it's a coincidence that I'm wearing white today. Actually, I'm wearing white to contrast my background. So it's just a coincidence that I'm wearing white, like the Rizalistas in the Pitad. So I'm one with you to all the Rizalistas wearing white. So we have the question for Sir Romy regarding why is it important that the youth of today, so it's a very kind of common question, but we need to talk about it again and again. So why is it important that the youth of today should know about Rizal?
Okay. First, we have the youth arm of the Knights of Rizal. We have the Kaparis, no, or the Rizalian youth. Actually, it started in the 1950s by Jose Laurel. He was the first who started that Rizalian youth, the Kaparis. And then, Kabataang Pangarap Rizal, the youth arm of the Knights of Rizal, sila yung mga natitrain to actually lead our students in the regional assembly, like we have the Visayas Assembly before of the Rizal Youth Leadership Institute, tapos mayroong Mindanao Rizal Youth Leadership Institute, tapos during the December activity, the culmination, it's the National Rizal Youth Leadership. Doon tinitrain ng National Council, Supreme Council ng Knights of Rizal, itong mga student leaders, because remembering Rizal's saying, the youth is the fair hope of the fatherland, Kaya ang Supreme Council ng the Knights of Rizal, sila ang the vanguard and nangunguna in the initiating, tapping these different youth leaders of different colleges and universities every year yan. And also the itong mga writers, mga members sa editorial staff ng mga colleges and universities. That's one way how the the Knights of Rizal try to inculcate to the minds of the young, the youth today, that there are times that they should emulate the life of Rizal. And likewise, the Department of Interior Local Government right now in Region 7, led by Director 𝗏𝗏𝗋, and kudos to him because out of the DILG directors, in Region 7 siya ang nag-initiate sa Bataris, Bataang Kaparis ng Rizal. I think they underwent the 5th batch of the different student leaders. The 5th batch is in Bohol, no? Nag-budget sila talaga ang DILG for that, and that makes the DILG 7 unique because usually it's about barangay, community. But this time, itong Bataris, Bataang Kaparis ni Rizal, initiated by Director 𝗏𝗏𝗋 of Region 7. By the way, he is the area commander of the Knights of Rizal. The 4th was in Dawin, Negros Oriental, for the Siquijor and Negros Oriental student leaders. And the 1st, 2nd, and the 3rd here in Mactan Island. And that's a very good program because it will involve team building, leadership, and well, of course, how to conduct meetings and try to encourage our youth to be future leaders, no? Here in the Philippines, not only in Cebu. Yeah, thank you.
So daghang salamat, Sir Romy, for sharing with us how the youth are forming organizations, especially the Kabataang or Bataris, mga batang Kaparis ni Rizal, the children who emulate Rizal, and the children who love Rizal. So we have a question before we would get the, I would give my last question for Professor Laila. Catherine, also a former teacher in one of the schools in Cebu, is asking, why of all, maybe anyone would want to answer this, why of all places in the Philippines, 𝗏𝗏𝗏 was chosen as his exile place? Why was 𝗏𝗏𝗏 the place where the Spaniards sent Rizal for his exile? Yes, Sir Romy.
First of all, geographically, 𝗏𝗏𝗏 city was, if not one of the farthest Spanish colony there at the time. And although they have Zamboanga City, but 𝗏𝗏𝗏 city is, shall we say, closer to some islands, but it is very far from the capital, Manila. And 𝗏𝗏𝗏 city was already an established Spanish colony, but far from Manila. They sent Rizal there in 𝗏𝗏𝗏 so that Rizal can be far from those who believe in his teachings, his followers. Especially there were a lot of Katipuneros at the time now believing about Rizal, parang ginawang idol nila si Rizal. So now Rizal as an arrested person, parang order of battle siya sa Spanish government. Doon siya inassign, doon siya na-exile in 𝗏𝗏𝗏 para malayo na siya. He's far from any contact of those who are members of the Katipunan, those who are members of other groups like the Liga Filipina, the Indios Bravos, the Redemption de los Malayos, and the Kidlat, and many other, shall we say, groups that believe on Rizal's leadership. So dapat ipalayo siya so that he will be far away, he cannot influence anymore, especially the Katipunan. That's why he was assigned in 𝗏𝗏𝗏, which was part of the Archdiocese of Cebu at the time, ang
Yes.
𝗏𝗏𝗏.
So, of
Thank
course,
you.
we would see, if you would read this book by 𝗫𝗎𝗍, you would see that the Jesuits had a mission in 𝗏𝗏𝗏 from Cebu. So you would see so many mentions. We would see 𝗏𝗏𝗏 mentioned many times here, especially with the arrival of the different religious congregations in Cebu, especially the Jesuits who had a mission.
Yeah, may I add, because that is under the Jesuit Society's congregation. At the time, the Pitan was, of course, under the Archdiocese of Cebu. Likewise with the Palawan, no, and other parts of Mindanao, as far as Guam, no, they are part of the Archdiocese of Cebu and under Jesuit. And Rizal was not only a student of Jesuit, but at the time, he was closely associated with the Superior General of the Jesuit at the time, no, si Father Pablo Pastilles, who wanted to win back Rizal's idea about Catholicism. So that's why he sent his best teacher, favorite teacher at the time, Father Sanchez, no, Francisco Paula de Sanchez, there in the Pitan, under the Jesuit parish.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you.
So, daghang salamat. So now I would like to ask Professor Laila. We'd like to ask Professor Laila, how should the Filipinos today meaningfully celebrate the life and legacy of Dr. José Rizal?
Okay, in the academe, nobody's perfect. Rizal was not perfect. So we have to teach the younger generation on who really Rizal was. And in history, we have what we call as contextualization. So meaning we have to understand what was happening in the Philippines at that time, and even what was happening in Europe during Rizal's time, because these were the two areas, or the two places where Rizal was molded. So there were a lot of challenges in the Philippines at that time, even in Europe, and he learned so many things. We should not teach the conventional, but we have to take a look at the other side of the life of Rizal. So for example, when one says Rizal was in Europe twice, ang masud sa una sa uban, oy kanindot because he was there in Europe, but not considering what were the challenges he faced in Europe. Was he happy there? Was bukas sa loob ni Rizal nga moadtog Europe? Did he enjoy the winter? Was he able to eat 3 times a day, or was he suffering from hunger and many other challenges? So that should be inculcated in teaching the life and works of Rizal. Also, aside from the 2 most important writings of Rizal, 𝗀𝗟𝗓𝗓 and 𝗷𝗂𝗀𝘀𝗍𝗔, we also have to take into consideration the other writings of Rizal, because it's in different themes. So you have for women, for people, and so on and so forth. What he did to the Philippines also. So it should be taught to the younger generation so as to inspire the Filipinos that even in our frailties, as long as we love our country, we can do much. So even if we are not very good or excellent in our academe, no, kaya naka-experience man ni si Rizal while he was in UST, gamay siya grado because for some reasons. So I'm always telling my students, Rizal was not really always excellent, and walay saint, walay hero nga perfect. Nobody's perfect. So as long as the younger generation knows what is José Rizal being representing, or the embodiment of Rizal, then I think, or I believe, that we can produce more nationalistic Filipinos. Filipinos who will love their country first above any other places, and who really looks up to the future for the Philippines. So I think that's it. The learning of the Rizal's life and writings should not end up in the 4 walls of the classroom, because even here in the Philippines, Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao, there are always places that talks about the life of Rizal, be it positive or be it negative, but almost always we learn from them. So this is also true to the other heroes that we know of. No? So there ng positive kanang tawagon sa mga young ones karon of positive vibes. That should be also given to the younger generation. So again, to inspire the younger generation that even in our limitations, we can rise up as a distinct Filipino who loves the Philippines more than any other country.
Salamat for the beautiful words, inspiring words from our panelist, Professor Laila Labajo. So we would really be able to see that what our teachers have taught, our teachers who also love Rizal, it has been effective if you would see the young people becoming leaders who are selfless and willing to die. Was Rizal willing to die? Yes, but he died for the country. He was willing to die because he was so brave to write those things. He knew he would die, right? He knew his life would be threatened. So I am now correcting myself. Rizal was ready to die because he was so fearless in writing those works and in doing those works. He was not scared to die. So if we will have these children taught by these teachers who love Rizal and molding their hearts to love Rizal and to emulate Rizal, being fearless in doing what would free our society from greed. So then we would be seeing that we would have so much hope for these children and youth that they would grow to become fearless, selfless leaders of our country and our society, fighting against the powerful to make sure that the majority and everyone would have a prosperous life, a fulfilled life, diba? That's the aim, the goal of Rizal. The hope of the motherland, fatherland, or the parent land. The hope of the motherland, the youth who will become the leaders and who will be like Rizal, like Andres Bonifacio, like 𝗂𝗂𝘀𝗃, and all the leaders who are ready to die for a better society. So now, daghang salamat to Professor Laila. We have comments here. We would read them after the reaction from our history researcher with us today. Michael, please. We will have, so now our reactor is currently, wala pa yung tao dito. Our reactor is currently taking up his master's in history from the University of San Carlos. He got his philosophy and theology at the Colegio de San Carlos, Seminario Colegio de San Carlos, and Mayor and College. San Carlos Seminary College for his philosophy and theology.
Christ the King.
From Christ the King.
And then for theology is from Seminary.
Wala ko malista diri sa akong script. So, and he was an Talisay City College instructor and a member of the Cultural Affairs Office of Talisay City College. And he's also a history researcher of the City of Talisay Cultural and Heritage Team. And he is now a CNU's, a Cebu Normal University instructor, and also has been recommended to me by historians, history professors, to be also our previous resource person in discussions like Bonifacio and on General Arcadio Maximum, and also the war against the Americans in Cebu. So we have Marben Bascon. Also our ambassador. You have seen his guapo face in our graphics and marketing collaterals. Kinahanglan panindigan yun ni mga guwapo ka, Marben. Tarungan yung angle diha. Sige, so we have Marben Bascon.
Hi, once again, good afternoon. So, by the way, I'm Mr. Marben Bascon. So, I would like to commend the two speakers, my teachers from the Masters of Arts in History from the University of San Carlos, Dr. Miss Labajo, and also to my colleague, Sir Generalao. Thank you so much for sharing to us those important historical messages about José Rizal. So, one of the problems for us teachers when it comes to history, when it comes to history as well as teaching this José Rizal subject, is the question of how to associate or how to influence José Rizal in the life of the students, the youth, in which in the mouth of José Rizal as the hope of the nations. Then, at the same time, these factors also affect the mindset and understanding of the students in a way that how they can relate José Rizal in their subjects, because again, history is considered to be a boring subject, as well as memorizing biography also. It somehow doubled the ages of the students to understand more of the history. So I could still remember that way back when I was still a student, I was still working with my thesis. By the way, my thesis is about José Rizal. I graduated Bachelor of Arts in Philosophy from the Christ the King Mission Seminary, but my thesis is about José Rizal. So actually, in the entire history of the Christ the King Mission Seminary under the college department, for 100 of years of now, there were only 2 students whose theses were taken from Filipino philosophers. I have José Rizal, and the other one was Father Quintin Terrenal, whose philosophy was about Mabini. Then, when I was taking the topics on José Rizal, 2 of the important sources, books that two of the important books that my advisors wanted me to study or to give more impressions are the books of Father Raul Bunuan. The books of Father Raul Bunuan, it talks about José Rizal's stay in Dapitan. At the same time, it also discussed the correspondence between Father Pablo Pastel and José Rizal. So it's more on what was the understanding of José Rizal when it comes to religion, or what was the understanding of José Rizal when it comes to faith, in which José Rizal, as far as we know, José Rizal's answers to questions and some of the insights of Father Father Pastel is all, José Rizal's understanding is actually influenced by the Enlightenment, which was during the time deism was the very recurring understanding of philosophy, in which José Rizal sometimes even questioned what was the role of Jesus Christ, or is the Christ that died on the cross, is the same Christ that we Catholics or Christians really believe in? So it questioned that if José Rizal is a God, why did José Rizal, who was the Christ that died on the cross, it questions the mark of the validity of the divinity of Jesus Christ. And again, it somehow support or connects to the topics of Miss Lai, because it shows that José Rizal's life, even he was still alive, it really transcends not only in the boundary of nationalism or patriotism, but even it goes within the walls of the sacred. It goes beyond the realm of the secularism, that it goes beyond to the realm of the divine. That in the entire history of the Philippines, we have a person who died for the country, not only transcends the boundary of nationalism, but he was able also to be worshipped by Filipinos who were disgruntled by the idea of, colonialism during the time. And it shows that the death of José Rizal, even after the death of José Rizal, it transcends beyond the boundary of secularism. Rizal became not only the Messiah, not only the Messiah of the nationalism, but Rizal became one of the divine, in which José Rizal, according to Miss Lai, not only worshipped as a hero, but he was also worshipped as a divine, which is part of the divine trinity or the divine abode of the persons in heaven. And also for Generalao, actually, I talked with my former colleague that I was really, after joining the Knights of Rizal, I think that was last year, when that was supposedly last year when 𝗵𝗲𝗿𝗀𝗀 talked to me that, I mean, sir, I think this year giheld ang kuan sa kato international conference on the General Assembly of the Knights of Rizal. Lagi sa kanang
Yes.
waterfront. Waterfront. I talked to him that I really wanted to join the Knights of Rizal because, you know, as a history teacher, because I was teaching José Rizal's subject for 13 years. And I also want to, you know, to expand, or I want also to expand my understanding or knowledge of José Rizal, not only within the boundary of the walls of the classroom, but also to take ideas coming from the expert, because I really believe from my heart that the members of the Knights of Rizal, these are experts, because they are not only teaching the lives of José Rizal, but they live the ideas, the principles of José Rizal. And this is one thing that I really love joining the Knights of Rizal. So hopefully after this one, I would like to talk with Sir Generalao and Sir that what are the requirements to join the Knights of Rizal. So that's all, and I would like to thank again our speakers, Ma'am, Miss Lai, my teachers. Yeah, I'm very proud of Miss Lai, my teacher, and my colleague, Sir Generalao. Thank you.
So, dahil salamat to Marben Vascon, history researcher and instructor at the Cebu Normal University. So, we have this question, how to be a member. That is also a question by 𝗵𝗶𝗿𝗀𝗃 asking regarding how to become a member of the Knights of Rizal, and are women accepted to become members? Dili siya knight. So we have Sir Romy now to answer this.
Yes, they can pwede nilang download sa website sa Knights of Rizal. All the requirements are there, and then they will just approach their local chapter, because in major cities nandyan ang Knights of Rizal, and of course there is a parang background check. And there's a sponsor. Dapat mag-sponsor, because membership of the Knights of Rizal by invitation. Hindi lang automatic magpa-member ka. It is by invitation at dapat may sponsor. For the girls, dami. We have the Kababayang Rizalista. We have the Damas de Rizal. Then there is another group, Maria Clara ni Rizal. And then there's another group, Women's of Rizal. So Women's of Rizal, Kababayang Rizalista.
How many are they?
Have
we counted the women of Rizal? Yes.
And yeah, so sa babae, pwede lang makababayang Rizalista siya, Maria Clara ni Rizal, Damas de Rizal, or kung youth, you have the Kaparis, no? Because the kababayang Rizalista, Damas de Rizal, Maria Clara ni Rizal, or the women of Rizal, ano sila? Yung women of Rizal, it is replicating the young women of Malolos who are asking for the establishment of a school, and they wanted to learn the Castilian language also. So it refers to the women of Malolos. That's why mayroong women of Rizal.
But there
so
is an international.
Not yung mga
international women of Rizal.
Friends of Rizal, no? And yeah, so that's how you are going to have an access with that. By the way, I would like to, since for those who would like to be a member of the Knights of Rizal by invitation, let us say humbly, not proudly, the Prime Minister of Malaysia, who just visited last year, he was conferred the 5th degree, the highest rank, like me and Dr. Warfi, the 5th degree of the Knights of Rizal, Knight Grand Cross of Rizal, His Excellency, the Prime Minister of Malaysia, Anwar Ibrahim, no? when he was the deputy prime minister, he was conferred the 4th degree, the KGCR. But now he is the prime minister. He visited. Talagang very fond of Rizal, si Anwar Ibrahim, Prime Minister of Malaysia, that in fact may sarili siyang library, Rizalian Library in Kuala Lumpur. And for the information of our audience, siya ang nag-sponsor sa tinawag ng International Conference on Rizal, the Great Asian Renaissance Man, held way back in 1996 in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. So, if we honor Rizal, grabe siya, nag-honor kay International Conference sa Kuala Lumpur, good guild. Yeah, that's how you access the Knight of Rizal, no? Yung gusto magpamember. At yung babae, hindi mo pwedeng Knight of Rizal. Kaya wa may Knight of Rizal babae. Delikado ta, manaitit ana, no? So, those are the groups I mentioned for the girls. Thank you.
Salamat to, Sir Romy. As actually also mentioned by Ahmed regarding the Prime Minister of Malaysia as being also having the KGCR rank in the Knights of Rizal, the same rank as Sir 𝗺𝗶𝗶 and Sir Romy. And because we are now at the open forum, we are now going to welcome the grand crooner, the great performer and singer and descendant of 𝗵𝗂𝗀𝗀𝗁𝗧𝗔, Dato Raha 𝗵𝗂𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗃, Dato or Raha 𝗵𝗂𝗀𝗀𝗃. So we have, actually, your book is not there because it is with me. So I will again display it later after monopolizing it. So we have, do we need accompaniment for you or a cappella na lang? Magstorya pa siya. So we have our a contribution, Jane. So there is, wow, there is a book, Rizal, by can I have two, one for me and one for the basahanan? Or nana si Konani, si duha ka book ako. Daghang salamat. We have another book from di ba Dr. Mangkakoan, Sir 𝗺𝗶𝗶? Dr. 𝗺𝗶𝗶 𝗵𝗂𝗀𝗀𝗃 Ingracia. So we are so happy that this would now be available for free reading at our so duha gyud ka mo kay hatag nimo kay one for me and one kanang imong tupas ba? Nakoy usa pero kinanglan ko sa akong basahanan. And there's the stamp, ang tuod ni tupas. So these are available at our basahanan here at Pamgras, the Cebu Heritage Hotel, Rizal, and the stamp featuring Raha 𝗵𝗂𝗀𝗃, the last Malay warrior king. So we have, may we have Dr. 𝗺𝗶𝗶, Sir 𝗺𝗶𝗶, may we adjust the camera, please? So we have Sir 𝗺𝗶𝗶, another KGCR, who would be sharing with us his thoughts about our discussion this afternoon, and who will also be singing a song.
Well, I have a lot of title singer.
So we have 15 minutes more, and we will have the trivia quiz with exciting prize. We also welcome our other guests here who would like to say something. Yes.
Okay, with my exposure to the Malay world as a constant or most of the time, annual Malay convention, I am one of their speakers. So I was able to make research about the stamp attributed to the Malay world. That's how I was able to make this book. 20 years in the making. I made research about, and then featuring Raja 𝗵𝗂𝗀𝗃, the last Malay warrior king, which is the descendant of the Cebuano. Di lang kaya ako. Kitang tanan. Cebuano man. And I'd like to contribute also what I learned about Rizal in the Malay world, because he's considered as the great Malayan race. We belong to the Malay race, okay? The meaning of Rizal in their side of definition it is Mali name, meaning Rizal, from the Arabic word Rizala, meaning message. That's mabitaw nga mo gikamatyan niya ang iyang message. Kasukan siya sa mga pari. And then, recently, nag-form mi og chapter nga ginganlan og Usman chapter. The name of his dog was Usman. So, it's a Muslim name. In other words, it came into my mind that once upon a time when the late Dr. Professor 𝗷𝗂𝘀𝘶, the president of Mindanao State University, he told me, he said, I think he was a Muslim. He became a Muslim. So, forgive me if I contradict some of the historian, but I think it is worth mentioning for the future research of our historian, of our history, that his name, Rizal, meaning message, a Muslim name, a Mali name, from Arabic word Rizala. And then his dog, his favorite dog is Usman, also a Muslim. So if we combine the two, a person and the animal is Muslim. So I think there's a tendency, it might be true that he became a Muslim. So I'm very sorry about, because I'm a Catholic, but this is history, so it's worth mentioning. It's worth mentioning for the future researcher, for the younger generation, like our professor here. They keep on make research. Probably we can visit also the world of the Malay. You know, we belong to the archipelago of the Malay. We call it Nusantara. And you better discover that so that you will know many things about our history. Very rich history. Before the Spaniard came, we were already well organized. We have the government, we have the Raja, we have the Sultan. In other words, we were not ignorant. In other words, the history is very, very rich. We belong to the Malay race, the brown race, our attitude, although we have already a mixture of different blood, Spanish blood, American blood, Japanese blood, but our attitude is still Malay. So that's my contribution today. I said I cannot go home without giving a contribution about what I know. Thank you very much.
So you have to sing a song. Nga, 1 minute lang a song. Kuan lang, excerpt kay you need to sing kay 2 years
You know,
ago
I
you
remember,
sang.
I usually bring my -1, but I have no.
Wala ba nato
It's
ma-ready?
in my car.
Ah,
I just arrived from Japan. I attended the International Ultrasound Convention, the World Convention. It so happened that it was my birthday. During my birthday, the last day, it was my birthday, I said, hey, may I have your attention, please? It's my birthday today. I will give you a song.
yes.
Everybody.
So now we are now excited. So now music maestro, ikaw rin may music. So do we have still have interaction from here? Sige, the song na lang. Excerpt lang.
Okay. This is what I delivered the song during my birthday in Kyoto, Japan. June 1, I was there. Granada, tierra soñada por mí, mi cantar se vuelve gitano cuando es para ti. Mi cantar hecho de fantasía, mi cantar flor de melancolía, que yo te vengo a dar. Okay, that's an excerpt only. I will not.
A round of
Thank you very
applause. Pwede yun ni opera. Congratulations for the very thunderous performance. So now we have our trivia quiz with exciting prizes. So our first question is for the on-site audience. So please raise your hand if you want to answer and go to the microphone. So our prize for this is a kalami cake. Our judge for this question is KGCR Sir Romy to give us to judge if the answers are correct, if the answer is correct. So this is the very easy question. So this is the kalami cake of this has actually like the base is unsa ganinang macarons and with dark chocolate and chocolate mousse. So the kalami ang title sa cake. Now, the question is this. Raise your hand ha kung kinsay mo answer. Give the complete birthday of Dr. José Rizal. Kinsay mo answer. Patay, kinaglan di ba? Sayop ang mga history teacher and tour guides, ani? O ang history graduate of, di na ba musugot si Marbs, si history researcher, kung nga kanang dates lang i-memorize, pero moment ni kay lisod ba kayo mag-essay writing competition during the quiz part. Sige, go to the microphone. Sige, we have kanang kuan yun, kanang from the University of San Carlos, History Department. Sige, naroon pa yung teacher diri, bantay lang ka. What is the Google the answer or
birthday of
go to the nearer to the microphone.
Okay. The complete birthday of Dr. José Rizal is on the occasion of 164th birth anniversary is June 19, 1861.
Congratulations.
That's correct.
Google
Congratulations.
answer to. Google answer to. Google or minus lang di mo. Was it
Google.
Google?
Na stock knowledge.
Stock knowledge, stock knowledge.
Stock knowledge di ay. Congratulations kay you make your alma mater proud. To USC we sing. Because the USC history graduate knows about the complete birthday of Dr. José Rizal and is also emulating the life of Rizal, being selfless and fearless for society. Sige. So now we have the next question. Daghang salamat sa Sarina Paga watching, a student of University of Makati, watching us from Taguig. Ellen is saying June 19, 1861. Congratulations, but this is for the on-site audience. Minerva Taladhay is saying good afternoon. So the next question is answered through the comment section of the Facebook Live event. But while we are waiting, does the other on-site audience want to share, like Flag Tour Guide President Al Quizon? Do you want to say anything? Al? Mustorya ka, di na ka? So now, our next question, the last trivia question, and you will win our therapeutic and with a modern-day therapist saying a healing prayer for you, an orasyon in our Alima Native Massage Kawa bath. So Catherine is saying June 19, 1861. You also got the correct answer, Catherine, but Raul already gave his answer. So we have been discussing, kalisod ali nga question. Pwede natin ni ilisan nga question, but we can also so the one who would judge is our professor from University of San Carlos, history professor, Professor Laila Labajo, to judge if your answer is correct. So we have Noel Meneses also watching from the 4th Bonifacio High School. Daghang salamat for watching. So this is the question where you will win a therapeutic and with orasyon healing prayer kawa bath. And you can choose with a flower kawa bath or a tinola kawa bath with sea salt, ginger, and lemongrass. So you can have also dinagat with sea salt. Yes, so the question is this. Name one Rizalista cult. Question. Lisod kayo? Lisod kayo ba question? Name one cult of Rizal, dedicated to Rizal. Lisod kayo? Lisod ni nga question? Comment section man mo answer. Oh. sa sa kuan ra sa comment section ang answer. So also we have daghang salamat, also a student of history at the University of San Carlos, Leandro Beltran, watching us. Thank you also to Bacolod watching us. Lisod kayo mong name, basahon ha. So also, I guess he is also a graduate from the university. I'm not sure if it's from the University of San Carlos or from USJR. So daghang salamat to everyone who answered the question. Also watching us, still watching us until this time. And so we would like you to know, so while we are waiting for the answer, we would like to invite you once again to our upcoming events here at 𝗵𝗲𝗇𝗃 sa Cebu Heritage Hotel. This, tonight is our Saturday dinner buffet with lechon belly, and also we will have 5+1 if 5 paying guests with 1 free. So we also have on June 28 our Balak sa Ting-Ulan with the Women in Literary Arts of Cebu, and then you can also read your poems. We also have our July 26 contest, Central Visayas wide hybrid speech contest in celebration of Leon Kilat at 152 with the theme "History is not a hashtag." Why the youth should know about Leon Kilat for the grade 6 to 12 students. And then there are mechanics posted at the Facebook page the Facebook page event of this contest at 𝗵𝗲𝗃's page. And also, there would only be 15, a maximum of 15 students who would be chosen to give their speeches on this day. We have one resource person for the discussion on this day. We will have Dr. George Burinaga to discuss why is it important for local history and for local heroes to be taught in schools. So, thank you very much to also a teacher from Silliman University, LJ Zapan, for joining us online as of now. We have the answers from Ellen answered Divine of Rizal, and the 𝗷𝗂𝘀𝘁𝗋 is saying Philippine Benevolent Missionary Association. Catherine is saying Rizalista movement. Ellen is saying second, answer na ni siya. Pwede ni second chance? Is there a second chance? Iglesia watawat ng lahi. Mo ni ang correct. Congratulations to Ellen. Mo picture mi nimo ha, inig-i-claim nimo imong kawa ba? Iglesia watawat ng lahi. Congratulations for knowing this answer. So now we will ask for the closing words from our resource persons kaya wala na may interaction diri. So congratulations to the trivia quiz winners. Thank you very much to all who joined us. So we have the closing words first from the highest ranking officer of the Knights of Rizal in Cebu City, one of those with the highest ranking, with the highest rank of KGCR. So we have Sir Romy Generalao, KGCR, for his brief closing words for our event today. Yes, ikaw, closing.
Maraming salamat, daghang salamat. I would like to acknowledge the management of this 𝗵𝗲𝗃 Heritage Hotel for initiating this very laudable program, activity. I was thinking when it was started only for parang Ningas Kugon, but how many years now na it's existing, and for those who are listening and watching right now, thankfully they are acknowledged by the Cebu City Government to the Cultural Historical Affairs Commission during the Heritage Month celebration, ma'am. Right? And then this is a very laudable initiated program because it always reminds the new generation of our youth in the Philippines, but since it is also probably seen outside the country, that the youth should not only prepare, but they are the action of today. And by thinking about the life of Rizal, those important deeds of Rizal, not only literary but community activities, especially when he was in the Pitan, that we should remember the volunteerism of Rizal. And in fact, what attracted me about Rizal because of his social status in Laguna, his educational status, he exchanged his life to awaken the Filipinos at the time. And although we say the 𝗥𝗶𝘇𝗹 was also the one of those who awakened the Philippine nationalism, but si Rizal really tried to translate it into action and publishing a very awakening novel, the 𝗷𝗂𝗀𝗍𝗍, because of the three. And it was Rizal starting as the, shall we say, the key factor of the revolution in the Philippines. And I'm so happy to be with this place because I was able to share with our brother knights here, Sir Warfi, and our brother knights who are watching right now, and our televiewers, for giving importance of history. Because there's a saying, ang hindi marunong lumingon sa kanyang pinagalingan, hindi makarating sa kanyang patutunguhan. Or according to the American Spanish philosopher, Santayana, for those who forgot to remember their history are condemned to repeat it. No, we should remember history so that we cannot repeat the mistakes of our past, but thinking what was good and, if possible, improve it in the future. So thank you very much for having with me here with our host, and very accommodating, and here in a very historical and very, shall we say, heritage icon here in Cebu, this Palm Grass Heritage Hotel. Thank you very much, ma'am.
A round of applause for Sir Romy Generalao, KGCR. Daghang salamat for the beautiful words to inspire the youth to really follow Rizal. So we have also now the closing words of USC Professor Laila Labajo.
Okay, good afternoon once again. After several postponement and after change of topic, honestly, I was more comfortable to talk about this than the previous one. And maybe it's also the time for this topic to be delivered here. So I would like to thank also Palm Grass Hotel and of course Miss Christie for having me here. I don't know anymore how many times, but thank you for trusting topics to us, not only to me, but to my other colleagues in our department. Of course, in the academe, we really have to discuss the life, works, and writings of Rizal, of what's the reality. No, so contextualization, as I've said a while ago, of what was happening in the Philippines and in Europe at that time would help a lot in understanding better of why José Rizal became José Rizal. So hoping that his works and deeds and writings would really inspire the Filipinos, especially at present, to really fight for the country. There's no lesser and greater person. Nobody's perfect. So in the midst of the negativities and frailties lies the positive trait of a certain Filipino nga just waiting for us to take a look at it. So Rizal should inspire with all the challenges nga iyahang nakita or iyahang nasugatan. His life should inspire the Filipinos to go on and to go on loving the Philippines, putting the Philippines above anyone else, above anything else. Bisag asa pa maabot ang mga Filipinos, they should go back by loving the Philippines. So once again, thank you very much.
Daghang salamat. A round of applause for Professor Dr. Laila Labajo for the beautiful words and her insights about Dr. José Rizal. So daghang salamat everyone for joining us this afternoon. Daghang salamat to our partners, Trust the Abril Foundation Incorporated, the Yande Heritage Center, and we look forward to the day when the vision of Rizal and the goal of Rizal and the wish of Rizal for a really prosperous and a free society would really be realized, a society that loves everyone and cares for everyone and not just for a few. So and then that our youth would become great leaders of this country, selfless, fearless leaders of the land. Daghang salamat og malipay pagsaulog sa usa ka katus ug kanuman ug upat ka tuig nga kasumaran sa adlang natawhan sa atong bayani nga si Dr. José Rizal.